This is an interesting little gadget for somebody who's partially sighted or blind. It's a Clarke & Smith audiobook player, I suppose is what it would be classed as. I can show you the back here. There's the label on the back. This dates from the early 80s. You've got a headphone socket on the side and your power socket on the side with one of those little remote control Wren sockets, which is basically for the turn the motor on the cassette mechanism on and off. It's interesting because it basically has made use of a sort of a car cassette deck, auto-reversing cassette deck, to make this a lot more simpler and easier to operate for somebody who can't see very well. Basically, it says on here that you can just make that out side one. So you would line up your cassette with side one facing that way. There's a little beep when it plays the tape. That's your volume slider. And then you have tone control. It's got very clear sound, and it's true mono. What it does is it combines the left and the right channel onto a mono head, so you can get both channels. Obviously it's designed for audiobooks, but they haven't made use of the possible 4 tracks that you would have in mono, because it's clearly a mono speaker with a mono head in. But they could have actually recorded twice the amount of information using stereo cassettes and having 4 tracks. You change the track, you can see it says track change up there, and basically it changes from side 1 to side 2 like any auto reversing cassette deck. So we're currently on this side, so you press it again and you get the second track, and pressing it a final time will actually eject it. It's the way that the mechanism works is basically it's using the one motor to do everything. So you have one motor driving 2 capstans, and then it has to also do the changing of the track, and then an eject mechanism. So the motor is actually under quite a lot of stress, and what had gone wrong with this is the belt had stretched and wrapped around the motor. And I suspect that's how these things would die. Is that as soon as you get a bit of stretchingness in the band, in the drive belt, because of all the ejecting mechanism and everything, the load that the motor is under, quite easily just wrap around the motor. So not a particularly great design. You've got fast forward and rewind, as they call it, or review, and then you press that to go back to playing, and then press it again for the next track, and this just forces it to eject irregardless of what side it's on. And it obviously remembers the last track it was on, because if I press this now, it'll actually eject it again because it's on side 2. So a bit of a quirky design, but very tactile. You can easily feel where your controls are. Nice chunky buttons. Sounds pretty good. It probably doesn't come through on the camera, but it actually sounds really nice to listen to music on, albeit only in mono. And if you're listening to an audiobook, it's very clear. Just bizarre that they never made use of the stereo tracks and used them as 4 mono tracks, because you potentially have 4 tracks on a cassette, and they could have got much more information. So just a bit odd that the track doesn't do that. I thought initially it was going to play with a stereo cassette. You'd have on side 1 left channel, side 1 right channel, and then side 2 left channel and side 2 right channel. But no, it does actually play side 1 and side 2 and combines the 2 stereo tracks into mono. So a bit of a quirky design. I don't know how long these lasted for, or whether they ever made use of the 4-track system. And they haven't changed the cassette speed. The cassette speed is the standard cassette speed, obviously, because this cassette is playing. So yes, I just thought I'd not come across one before, and just thought I'd make a video so you could see how it works.